All righty, let's start with our pen today. We don't even need our pencil and tortillon until a little bit later. So I've already written on the back my name, today's date, and some notes of, I just wrote Zoom Tangle. That's my lovely, wonderful writing. And it just says, for those who registered for the rejuvenation class, early bird. Okay. So with your pen, nice and slow and relaxed, we're going to draw some black pearls. But let's start with one black pearl. I'm just calling it that. And how we're doing that was just going to draw a circle, little circle, small, and then color that in. And then we're going to do the same exact thing, but we're going to leave some space. And think of the pattern cadent. I think a lot of you might have taken the cadent class or you've done the cadent pattern. So kind of keep that in mind. We're kind of doing that today. So we're going to leave some space and then draw another pearl. And it doesn't really matter how much space is in between or how big, but just enough where we're going to end up doing something like this, just so you know. And it doesn't matter how big or how small, but right now we're just going to put down the pearls, just draw that circle or orb and color that in, taking our time, breathing in and out, nice and slow and relaxed, focusing on each stroke and coloring that in, the ink. Now we're going to do this all around. Think of like a border all around the edge. Letting everything go, not thinking about anything, except drawing that roundish shape and coloring it in. And you can always turn your tile anytime you want to get a nice comfortable position. Okay, so now the next step is we're gonna do this, right? So let's see let's do that first. So we're going to do our regular cadent move, but this isn't going to be the cadent pattern, but it kind of starts off like that. So we kind of just trace along and then give it kind of this S shape and then land on the bottom of the next one. And trace along the edge and then land. So it's kind of a slight S. That's a little bit um, wide, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Everything happens the way it's supposed to. So we're just kind of drawing this S shape from pearl to pearl. I'm calling this pearl to pearl. And we'll go all the way around. Nice and slow and relaxed. Giving each stroke your undivided attention. And I suggest turning the tile when you get to the next section or side. Okay, I'm going to show you the next step to this. So if you're not done, just look up and do it with me now, just so you know what the next part is. Okay, so we're going to kind of do the same thing, but we're going in the opposite direction. So I'm going to trace over and then come like that. So it's like the Xfinity sign. So you're doing the same exact thing, but the reverse, right? So it's still trace, kind of still that S shape, go nice and slow so you can really focus. We're just going the opposite direction. Remembering there's no perfection in Zentangle, and I am a great example of that. Just right here. Because that came out a little bit, but that gives it character, gives it cool, something we never expected. Letting go of that outcome and appreciating what gets created without even trying. this is actually good practice for what we're going to be doing next. Getting used to that opposite way of doing this S shape. I just love how that comes in like that. It's so funny, like you're all drinking at the same time. That was so interesting. Like half of you just took a drink at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to show you the next step. So for those who are done can move on. And there's no rush. So, but if you're not done, just look up for the next thing. So just like we would do cadent, we're going to start to create rows, and we're going to draw just like we drew these circles, but we're not going to color them in. So pick anywhere you want. You might want to watch me first. So I'm going to start to draw just a circle, and then leaving some space, and another, leaving some space, and another. And I'm going to focus on just 4 going across, and keep them as rows, and then leaving some space just like we did in the border, and lining those circles up, focusing on drawing that round shape. Nice and slow and relaxed. And we're just going to keep doing that. Lining them up, leaving some space. And we'll do that until we get towards the bottom. Just setting this up for a very cool pattern that we'll be doing. It's not cadent, but it's similar to it. Really enjoy drawing those round shapes. Okay, so this pattern is a combination of Huggins and cadent, and it's called funnels. Funnels. So, and we're going, and I've put a little bit of a variation to it. So if you know what funnels is, some of you may know it. I'm going to be doing a little variation to it. So the first thing we're going to do is just like, we're going to just do it like cadent, like these two right here. So we're going to trace along and then do that S shape. And actually, I think we will do that all the way down. Now we're just going to do it on this row, okay? Don't move, just this row. So we're just going to trace around and give it that S shape. This is better here. This was not a good, for some reason, I don't know why I'm going that way, but it's okay. Everything happens the way it's supposed to. So this would be more like what I'm looking for, kind of like this S shape here. But again, it really doesn't matter. And we're just focusing on this first column only. And now on the second column, we're going to do that reverse S like we did up over here on the Xfinity here, right? So now we got to really focus and take our time because we're going the reverse direction. So we're tracing along and coming this way. So they're like facing each other. And we're going to do that all the way down, same direction. And then when you get to the next column, we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to alternate. So that means this third column will be just like the first column. So we're going to go back to this direction, kind of like the regular way. And we'll do that all the way down. And the second column will be like the last column will be just like that second column, going that reverse direction so that they're kind of facing each other. Okay, and now we're going to aura each one of these. All right, so let's see how we should do that. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to zoom in here. Let's zoom in. So the way I'm choosing to aura each one is I'm going to start right, kind of like right here, and then just aura that. Now this one, I'm going to move down to here because this shape was much better. Well, listen, I'm going to do that as well, right? And then there's that shape, and we're just going to aura these. There's no right or wrong here, just giving it an aura one at a time. Doesn't matter how thick or how thin. And now here's what's going to make this pattern more like Huggins. So this is kind of the cadence stroke, and now Huggins is kind of similar to this, if you remember Huggins. Now, so we're going to, I just want to give me a minute so I know which way to go. Okay, so we're going to, and I might have to move my tile, but we're going to give it this arc shape. You might want to watch me first. So these, it's almost like just a C shape rather than an S shape. It's just this arc from orb to orb. And if you want to turn your tile, it's a little bit easier, I think, to give it that. shape. Now just do the first column first. Just do the first column first, because we're going to go in a different direction next. So when you get to the next column, we're going to go in the opposite direction. So we just went under, so now we're going to go over. So we have over, like that. Now, over. So I'm going to turn my tile again to get a more comfortable position, connecting those from circle to circle, or orb to orb, or pearl to pearl, just this simple arc. And then the next one will be just like the first column, going under. So I added the auras. Funnel is just like this, but without the auras. And we're going to also aura these C shapes that we just did, or arcs. So just any way you want, just give them an aura. Doubling them up. Nice and slow, focusing. Oh, I forgot to aura these. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fill in these auras. Now, we're going to be filling in the auras. We're also going to be filling in the middle. So first, let's do the auras. And for all of the S shapes, let's start with the S shapes since that's what we did, the cadent ones. We're just going to give it some blocks. So we'll just draw 2 lines, color them in, skip a space. I'm going fast just to show you what we're going to do. And of course, if you have another idea, if there's something else you prefer to do, you are welcome to do that. And that's all right there. We're just kind of giving it some checkers, plaid. And we'll do that in every single cadence shape, right? So the S's are the cadence, the C shapes or just the plain arcs on top and bottom are the Huggins shapes. So all of the S shapes, and then the C's are going to be different. So just the S shapes, just the cadent ones, we're giving these black boxes, checkerboards, plaid. Nice and slow and relaxed. We have plenty of time to do this, nice and relaxed. Turn up your music if you'd like. So for those of you watching the recording who missed the class, we're just putting orbs in the Huggins or C shapes. All righty. So now we're going to have some fun inside of these sections. And for the first column and the last column, we're going to put in some fescues. Now I'm actually going to show you my rough draft so you can decide. Actually, no, actually I did it all the same. I thought I had a little bit different. Okay, you don't need to see it. With this, you can actually put them anywhere you want because we've all done this differently, right? So what I'm suggesting is take it from one corner, we just kind of give it this curved, and then give it that kind of that loop at the end. Let me zoom in a little bit. And then I'm doing the opposite one like that. Now, actually, I am going to show you what I did because it is a little bit different. So if you look here, all right, don't look at that yet. Don't look at that yet. Okay, so what I've done here is I've got a fescue coming up the top right, bottom left, right? And on this side, I've got them coming off the same side, top right, bottom right. So it really doesn't matter. All right, you can see where you put them. You know, again, don't think much about it. Just think about each section. This, you know, my sections came up a lot different than when I did it before. Like this is a little bit smaller or more square. Oh, I'm going to resume the, oh, I did a oh, I already did. So just putting in a fescue wherever I feel like it, coming out of one of the corners. And then I could come out of this corner here if I'd like. Now you could put in more than 2 fescues too if you want. And each one can be different. So a fescue is just drawing this kind of a slightly arced and then bringing that little loop at the edge. Nice and slow and relaxed. Have fun with it. Reminds me of a needle. You know, when you thread a needle, that end of that needle is kind of a loopy. Oh, I moved into the middle. I didn't want to do that. I hope you guys didn't do that. It doesn't matter. Everything happens the way it's supposed to, right? So actually, I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to move over to the last column. If you already did it, don't worry, because just whatever. I'm going to show you what I decided to do in the middle, and then you can go back to doing your fescues. You can add more fescues. You might decide to put all fescues. You might not want to do what I'm suggesting here. So let's see. So what I'm suggesting here is to put in flux. Now I'm going to show you on my thing here. So, and I'll show you how to do it. Just ignore that. That was just experimentation. So this is what I'm suggesting is do a flux, right? Just diagonal line. I'll show you how to do it. And then go in the other direction. It's like a zigzag. Now, again, you might want to do something totally different. So here, I kind of already started the line. So I'm just going to kind of go with that. So just drawing this line from kind of diagonal to diagonal line. So from left, bottom left corner to top right in one section, just kind of a slightly curved line. This is a little screwy because I started to do a fescue. Actually, I'm going to actually kind of bring that in. Okay. And now to get the flux, we just kind of trace along the edge, come out and come back in. Now I'm going to do that again, a little bit bigger. I'm going to trace along the edge, come out and around, and then back in. Right? On the edge, come up, around, and then let's bring that in. You do that all along both sides. And then start from the bottom of each one, just bringing this kind of slightly curved line with a few dots. Right from that edge, bottom, and some dots. Just a line and some dots. And what I like to do is I like to darken, give it kind of a little hair piece. Just kind of darken the top a little bit, just by tracing right over it. And then when I do the next one, I'm going to come down like this. So it's kind of like going a zigzag. Again, this is just my suggestion. You can do it a different way if you like. So instead of going from bottom left to top right, I'm going bottom right to top left and doing that same thing. And then I'm going to go the opposite direction. So similar to the first one we did. And because I did that here by mistake, which there are no mistakes in Zentangle, I'm just going to leave it because I was meant to do it for whatever reason. Now, if you want, you can, I'm just thinking how I want to do this. So part of me wants to add some of these flux and fescues on the outside. So this is totally optional. Now you can either, if you want, you can bring those to the edges and continue with these sections, which that's totally up to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of these flux. So I'm going to just pick right here. I'm just going to come up and over, giving it that kind of a floppy flux. Excuse me. And you can go in different directions. So let's say I do this, and then I might have one go the other direction. And then I could have a fescue coming out. So I'm just throwing that out there if you want to do that kind of like all the way around, or sporadically, maybe just have a few coming out some areas, like I might come right over here. And I'm going to maybe do them different lengths, different sizes, different directions, just having fun with it. Just like pretend they're at Magdalene's house, just blowing around. So they're blowing in all different directions, all these different leaves. You can add a fescue. See, that wasn't even planned. That just came to me today, and I like that idea. And if you don't like it, you can do something different. We will be shading soon. But we have some time. Maybe there's a pattern you really like to do and you can add it to it, either outside, or maybe if you like a pattern like poke root or another organic pattern that could come out. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I just do these two lines here, it's just an example, and then cross that, and then just bring in this poke leaf shape. I could have that coming out. I kind of like that too. Anything goes. They kind of look like flower pots. At least mine does. But when I did it before, it doesn't look anything like flower pots. So it's really funny how every time we do something, it looks very different. All righty. So with your pencil, and I like to always suggest using the side of our tip, let's start from the border and work our way in. So for the border, I'm going to just suggest going a little bit on one side inside one of these in these loops, just right inside, kind of giving it like this little aura shading all along the inside of that S shape. And then with your tortillon, just little circular motion, staying close to the edge, blending that in. And of course, if you have another way to shade, you are always welcome to do that. Always more than one way to shade. And I like to go back and blend that in a little bit more, bringing it out a little bit more, leaving some white. Yeah. You can do that all the way around. I don't know if you hear that or not, but it's my cat scratching her scratch pad.
I thought it was somebody tap dancing.
Yeah, I didn't want you to think I had gas or anything like that. Did you hear? Really? You know, that was pretty loud then. That's
Yeah.
funny. My cat was tap dancing on her scratch pad. That's funny.
Alrighty.
Yeah, and then you might want to go back and now for the flower, I'm going to call them flower pots because mine look like flower pots. I can't even see. I'm just going to do one side. I'm just going to do the right side of each one. So kind of giving that S shape and aura. Right, just right along, right outside the S shape inside that flower pot, just along the edge. And then turning my tile so that I can face the tortillon towards that line. There's my kitty cat crying again. And then blending that in, little circular motions. All right, sweetie. And you can see how it's. And then I go back and blend it in and push it out a little bit more, giving it another layer that's a little bit lighter. I'm going to do that on all of them. Now, when you get to the fescues, what I like to do is just right down the middle here. I'm just going to go right over that middle line, put in some graphite, and then with my tortillon, go over in little circular motions and having it go right down that middle, right over that line, and then having it come over a little bit on either side. And then what's left of my tortillon, I can just dabble other area, like these little flowers that we did on the outside. If you did that, you can just kind of dab what's left on your tortillon. Just maybe right in the beginnings of those leaves or on the sides of the poke leaves, if you did that. You can even put some, a little on these, the circles that we put down in the beginning. You could dabble a little bit of shading in there from what's on your tortillon. Now I just wanted to show you that to you, but now I'm going back to the shading on the flower pots. I'm just going around those Flux. And then just taking what's left of my tortillon and going down that middle line. And then if there's anywhere else you'd like to add a little shading, you can just put a little dabble here or there, using what's left in your tortillon if you want to. Maybe some of these orbs and the Huggins shapes. And if you've never done funnels, I highly recommend going to tanglepatterns.com or just put in Google funnels tangle pattern, and you'll see the real version because we ordered each one. Now I do have it here on my iPad. Let's see if you can see it. So you can see this is the step out. So you can see it's Kaded going down and then it's Huggins going across. And then that's just a suggestion on what to, oh, they don't show, oh yeah, here, this, so this one right here is kind of what true funnels looks like. So it's really cool pattern. And what we did is we just ordered each stroke. So remember, just turn it around, look what it looks like, different directions. Look at all the possibilities. Remember to sign anywhere you want. And in a moment, we will do our group photo, but we have some time, so there's no rush if you're still shading or tangling. We have a few minutes, so there's no rush. But I am going to stop the recording. So.